Hi, my name is Roy Canterbury. I'm going to be host today on Archery Talk 101, and we have a special guest with us from Turkey Hunting USA. Billy Barnett is going to be with us, and we're going to talk turkey today. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you, Roy. I appreciate you asking me to come on.
Yeah, it's always nice talking to different people in archery. It's just a big family, and get to know each other. And I always figure if you're an archer, we're family.
Absolutely.
So this started. How did you get started in archery?
Actually, I just started out probably like most people, small game hunting, fishing, squirrel hunting with my dad, and it just led into the deer, and that's kind of, an archery season here in Kentucky. It lasts so much longer than the gun season, so there's so much more opportunity there for that, and started just my dad got me a bow for Christmas and one year and just started shooting in the backyard after school and just kind of caught on like that. And then I just go bow hunting with my uncle. Took me quite a bit bow hunting with him, and that's kind of how I got started into that part of it.
How old was you when you got started?
I killed my first deer at 12. Now that was with a gun, but it was just right after that. Once I got my first deer, I mean, I was ready to do it all. So it was probably right around my early teenage years when I got into bow hunting and, shooting archery. So
what was your first bow?
I had a PSE Lightning Flight. You remember those?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was kind of a cheap, well, I guess it was a good bow at the time, but I've still got it. I've got it hanging on my wall. Just the old, the bigger aluminum arrows and, the old fixed blades, broadheads and stuff like that. And an old cheap release, a plastic release. And but we were having a blast. Shot it there. I remember there in the summers, I would try to shoot every day right after school, and always enjoyed that. Even if I shot 10 times, a day, I felt like I had to do that to get ready for archery season coming up, and it did help me.
Yeah, that's one thing about archery is you do need to do some practicing.
Yeah, and it's relatively cheap. I mean, you don't have to keep buying ammo and I don't know. I like the part where the animals had to be so close to you. It wasn't like you just saw a deer 200 yards away and shot at it. You actually had to sit there and be quiet and go into a stealth mode, and kind of blend into your environment and trick. That deer had to come underneath your tree, and it really gets your heart pumping. So I enjoyed that.
Yeah, get them up and nice and close, because I know with rifle you can go long range, and my newest rifle it's sighted in dead on at 200 yards, so within 300 yards, within 3 inches. So yeah, there's no real challenge in that, other than the fact that as you get older it's harder to hold still. But
yeah.
I spent high school on a rifle team, so that's not really much of a challenge for me. But archery is a little different story. I know my first deer was about 40 yards away, and I was about 20 feet up in a tree to get over the brush, and I was shooting I think 52 pounds with I think it was a 21-17 full-length arrow with 125 grain broadhead in it. And at that weight, I was still able to stick that arrow almost clean through. As it turned around, the only thing that was still left in it was the fletching.
Really?
At that low weight with them heavy arrows, it's full-length arrows. I didn't even cut them down because I didn't know any better then. And since then I've never shot one that far. I try to set up for 20-yard shots, but those darn animals seem to come in closer than that.
Oh yeah. Actually, the first deer that I took with a bow, I had a climbing tree stand on my back, had all my stuff in the backpack on the climbing tree stand, and I was walking out to hunt, and saw a deer standing out in the field and a doe. And I just snuck in and was able to get about 25 yards and was able to take my first. I didn't even get to climb a tree. I was at my uncle's and I went back. He was surprised to see me when I walked back in. He's got a cabin, and this was actually before I was driving. And so I would go out and stay with him at his cabin, and he'd let me hunt. And walk back in the door, and I'll never forget it because he's like, "Well, what are you doing back?" I was like, "I already got a deer," and it was, he's like, "You're kidding." He thought I was pulling his leg, and to me it didn't matter. I was just excited to, get an archery kill. So that was a big moment for me.
Yeah, it's just so much more satisfying. I've shot way more deer with a bow than I have with a rifle.
Yeah. It's
in fact, very few with a rifle. I think I can count all of them in one hand. And I had one day I shot 2 deer within minutes of each other.
Really?
Yeah, that was an interesting one. I was standing on the stand and I heard one coming from behind me to the right. So I turned, got ready. As it's starting to step out, I'm at full draw. I hear another deer that was now behind me coming up on my left side. I could hear it walking. So I shot that one, watched it run off, so I knew where it went, turned around, loaded another arrow, drew back, and waited for that one to come out.
Yeah.
The only problem with that is you got 2 deer to track and 2 deer to clean and 2 deer to haul out.
That's a good problem.
Yeah,
sounds like a good day.
Yeah, that was a good day.
Yeah. I've shot my share with a rifle. As a teenager, I was just wanted to hunt every opportunity I could. And, if it was gun season, I was going gun hunting. If it was bow season, I was bow hunting. So, but, looking back, I mean, the most memorable hunts I had was sitting there with a bow. And, I remember trying to quieten my bow down and, doing all the little things to be in stealth mode, I guess. So I loved watching a deer walk right under my tree. I mean, I thought that was one of the coolest things.
Yeah, I've had them walk underneath my tree stand. I had a doe come in one time, was out hunting. That's before we had quite as many tags. So we had 2 total was all we could get for the whole year. And, in archery, the first one I would shoot doe or buck would come in. And then I hunted bucks only until like December. And then, to fill my tag went ahead. And it wasn't December yet. And I got a buck grown out and I hear something walking. And so I hear something. It sounds like a duck hunter because where it was on public property and they had duck hunters out there. I just thought a duck hunter would just mess around with his call because, I go out duck hunt sometimes you get bored and you just start messing around with the call. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it was a doe. There's like 2 or 3 does coming in and one was doing the doe bleat that was looking for a buck. So I took the call and I just kind of grunted and I just kind of, just kind of messed up the call. And the one that was making a noise kept walking, but the other one was with it, come running underneath my tree stand. I think it hit my pole rope.
Yeah.
And I'm looking down through my tree stand at it. It knew there was a buck there somewhere, but couldn't see it. Never did look up. And so I'm just watching it, walk around because, that time I'm not going to shoot a doe. I didn't want to end my hunting season so quick,
Right.
And so they just kind of walked off, and it's the first time I'd actually heard a doe, doing the doe bleat that they do, when they're looking for a buck. And that was interesting out that one day.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I remember the first time I used a decoy, and it was actually it was called the Commando. Do you remember it? You could it was a 2-sided decoy pretty much, and you could fold it up and it had like almost a handle that you could carry it.
Right. Yeah.
We were at a public place over in the western part of Kentucky, and my uncle had it. He would always buy this. He was always buying all kinds of stuff like that. And so I took it out one morning and tried it and put it up. And I'm telling you, I had so much fun that morning because deer would come out and they were seeing it and running back and forth. And the area we were in was a bow hunting only area. So, I mean, you didn't have to worry about gun hunters and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah.
But that was a pretty cool experience. And since then, I've bought used better decoys now, but they are pretty effective. I use the antlers on them now, and I've had deer come charging into them. I mean, it's a pretty cool experience.
Yeah. Well, turkey hunters do it all the time. They have a decoy out there, and it works, and works for the deer as well. Especially with you're out, and then you have like a buck call, a buck or a doe, either one, and if you're hunting bucks and you do the doe call, and he looks over and don't see a doe, he's a little more suspicious. But if he sees a doe standing there, you have a decoy. Now they see that there's something there that noise is coming from.
Exactly. I remember one season I was bow hunting, and I think it might have been the first year that I got the it's more of a 3D decoy, but it's just an 8-point. It's kind of a basket rack. It's no wider than its ears, and I think like it seemed like to me, this has been 15 years ago, but every buck that I saw, if it saw that decoy, it came to it. I mean, that's how effective that thing was. And I didn't use it just in the wood or in the fields. I would use it in the woods as well. And for bow hunting, it would bring those deer right to you. And, I passed a lot of deer, but it was still fun to, at least I knew I could shoot at them. They would come into it. So I have the opportunity if I wanted to. And I had a lot of fun hunting with that decoy.
Yeah, that's kind of nice. The only thing you just got to carry it in and out is the biggest problem.
Yeah, they make them where they're in bags now and stuff like that. But it was pretty effective. It worked for me.
Yeah, I know that decoys are kind of nice. If you don't have to worry about carrying them in and out, and depending on how far you're going. If you got a long trip in, carrying that extra weight of that decoy could be quite a bit.
Yeah, if I was hunting the same area, sometimes I would just kind of stash it in the woods and cover it up. Then, you wouldn't have the scent and stuff from your truck, or wouldn't have to worry about anything like that. So sometimes I would just stash it somewhere and just leave it and have it there when I get there.
Yeah, especially for hunting private property, that makes it a little bit easier because you don't have to worry about people just walking around. But, public property, that might be a little tough.
Yeah, it would. Yeah, it wouldn't last long.
Yeah. It's like, oh, what's this? Somebody forgot it, huh?
Yeah.
Left it on purpose.
Yeah.
So when did you get into turkey hunting?
I actually killed my first turkey in 97. I started about the time I started deer hunting too. It was about 94. I've tried to look back and figure out exact, and it was with my uncle. I was before I was driving, and about the same. I was wide open into anything for hunting: ducks, deer, turkeys, and so I started about 94, I would think. So.
Yeah, that's been a little while, not too long, but a little while.
Yeah, it's it seems like it's a ways back, but yeah, I just started out with my uncle at his place. He took me and didn't have a clue what we were doing. I mean, none of us had ever killed a turkey, and it was back before YouTube and all that stuff. So you kind of learn as you go.
Right.
And but I think that's what I liked about it was the challenge of it. Kind of self-taught. A lot of times after the goblin would quit, the other guys, they'd quit and go back in, and I wanted to stay out there and just keep going. And I remember the first time I shot at one, I actually missed the first one I shot at. Everybody else kind of quit for the day, and you could hunt up till 1 o'clock here in Kentucky at that time. And I said, well, I'm just going to hang out here and keep hunting. And it wasn't 30 minutes after those guys left, I blew on a crow call and heard one gobble. And I mean, my heart was pounding. I mean, I was by myself. I mean, it's like, all right, it's just you and this bird right now. And it changed everything when I didn't have a couple guys with me. It's kind of different, and which I like. I like that experience. And anyway, I went up and set up on that bird and started calling. He was gobbling and doing all that stuff, and came in to me, and I don't even know if I had the beat on him or not. I mean, I was so excited. I was just like, man, I've actually called one of these things in, and airballed him, and he flew off and took off down off the ridge, and I saw him soar out of sight, you know. But I couldn't wait to go back, and man, guys, I called one of these things in and actually got to shoot at it. You know, I was excited just to be able to get a shot at one. So, and I guess that's what kind of got me going. That if I don't know if I'd be the same way if I'd have got that bird. Probably so, but I don't know. It kind of sank in on me right there when that bird came in. I didn't get him, but I got close, and that's when it kind of, the fire took off in me, I guess. So
yeah, it's kind of nice sometimes you get out there, and the experience is worth as much, if not more, than whether you get an animal or not. The experience lasts you a long time, but if you just go out there and just easy, you just got it, and once you ate it, it's kind of gone. You have a little bit of memory, but some of those things like that is what's really cool. And I know one time I was sitting up the tree stand, and it was becoming daylight, and all of a sudden you see the frost starting to form on the bow and all the branches, and then the sun comes up and reflects off the branches with all the frost on it. And kind of cool that day.
Oh yeah.
And on the drive home, there's a row where there's a whole bunch of evergreen trees, and they were all frosted over still, and never seen it since. But
yeah,
of course, now if I go that way, those trees aren't even there anymore. They put houses in. It's that big. At that time it was kind of out in the middle of the country.
Yeah, just the experience of, if it was easy, if you went and killed one every time, I wouldn't even do it. It would take the fun out of it. And everybody I've talked to, including myself, I mean, the way I think about it, you actually remember the ones that you don't get, or the ones that tricked you, or the ones that got away. That's actually the hunts that I remember the most. So, and I'm sure,
right.
With deer hunting, it's the same way. You saw the big deer that, he just 10 yards outside of getting a shot, and biggest deer you've ever seen, So, that's kind of the way it is with the turkeys for me.
Or the one that you don't know why you missed it.
Yeah.
And then she's like, okay, I always have a field tip with me, and in case I want to shoot a squirrel or something. And I completely missed this deer, and it was 10 yards.
Yeah.
Maybe 10 yards. Completely missed it. Don't know what happened. So I said, I don't know, is something wrong here? So I took my field tip, I picked out a leaf, and I hit the leaf. Like, okay, that was me. And I was like, oh, I forgot to aim. I just drew back and pointed the boy towards it and shot.
Just let it go.
Yeah, just let it go. And they just remember, okay, I gotta pick a spot and find the pin.
Yeah, it's sometimes that's the hardest. You just have to calm yourself down and have a routine you go through sometimes to make sure you're doing everything correct.
Yeah, that's what helps when you're practicing. Just have, here is what I do every time. And right. I shoot a handheld release when I hunt. That's what I shoot all the time. And I have a wrist strap that I go for backup when it gets really cold. Mm-hmm. Up here in Nebraska, we have some pretty cold weather.
Yeah.
It can easily be freezing or below when we're out there. And I just don't want to grab onto basically with my bare hand, because I have a glove that has fingers out of it. And then, of course, it's kind of all tore up where the index finger and thumb meet, because that's where I feel the trigger. Uh-huh. I just don't want to grab this 30-degree piece of aluminum in my hand and try and draw back with it. So then I go to the hook, and all I need is just my index finger out. So I have different gloves on. So I keep my hand a little bit warmer, keep it in my pocket.
Absolutely.
So what are you shooting for a bow now?
Well, I have a couple bows. It's hard for me to get rid of stuff. I've actually got one that I've got set up for turkey hunting. I've got the draw weight turned down. I was shooting mechanical broadheads, and it's turkey hunting with a bow is pretty tough. Have you shot any with a bow yourself?
I haven't shot it. I've been out a few times, and I heard the first time I had a chance to draw on one, and it's standing facing me. I got my bead rattling. I'm waiting for it to turn broadside. I'm still thinking deer. You don't shoot it from the front, you shoot it from the side. Well, then when it turned, it just run off. And my buddy's behind me, says he's thinking, shoot. I wasn't, I wasn't thinking turkey. You can shoot them from the front, you can shoot them from the side. But,
so I had a couple that you really have to practice with turkey hunting with a bow. I've had a couple get away from me. I mean, if you don't hit them just right, they are going to get away. And I got to the point I was like, it's not worth it. I'm not going to do this anymore. I don't want to wound any. And I went to the Magnus bullheads. They're about a 2.5 to 2 3/4 cut diameter. And once I went to those, I thought, either I want to kill this bird, you aim for the head and neck area. Right. I'm either going to kill this bird or going to be a clean miss, and he lives to fight another day. Right. So once I did that, I got back into the bow hunting again for turkeys, and that way I knew I want to be as ethical as I can. And if even a deer, I hate shooting a deer and it getting away. I mean, any animal, it's just a sickening feeling. But it's part of it sometimes, even with a rifle, it happens. But so I've shot several with a bow. I've actually killed one out of a tree stand before, deer hunting, in the fall. Heard some turkeys calling. I always carried a call with me, and I'd call to them just for a bonus, to see if they would come up, get a shot. It's really tough. They're going to spot you pretty quick if you don't have some pretty thick brush or something. And I would always try to look for some thickets or something that, if they were coming, I wouldn't even grab my bow until they were coming and got behind a bunch of brush. Cause they're going to see you 150 yards away. If you try to ease up and get a bow, they can see you. It's like they pick up on it instantly. So I was pretty lucky to kill that. I've only killed one with a bow out of the tree. And I just had a big clump of bushes, and there was a group of 3 gobblers, and they were coming kind of down the field edge. And I just did, like I said, I didn't move until they got behind that brush. And I was like, all right, just hurry up and grab it, stand up and be ready to go. And I got my bow, got where I could see where they were going to come to. And there was actually another clump of brush. And so I stood there, let them walk behind it. I was able to draw back, and I had to hold my bow back for, I don't know, it seemed like forever. And they finally came. They were about 15 yards when I shot, and put him right down. He never moved. And so that was my first long beard with a bow out of the tree. So that was pretty cool. But I used to fall hunt all the time with my bow, and I'd shoot hens, whatever. I was young and just wanted to hunt, so and I enjoyed it. It was just because that was a different challenge in itself to kill a turkey with a bow. That's one of the hardest things I've ever hunted with a bow. So
yeah, they don't have very big kill zone.
No, they don't. No.
When you look at the turkeys that you buy for Thanksgiving at the store, just look how big that heart is.
Yeah.
It's maybe an inch diameter.
Oh, you've got to be. I got to the point where if they weren't like 15 yards or less, I wouldn't even shoot. Because you have to be so accurate to kill a turkey. And you watch TV shows and stuff, they have them get away. It's part of it sometimes, but
yeah. So have you ever tried the guillotine for turkeys?
I considered using that. The Magnus bullhead's kind of like that. I went with them instead of the guillotine, but yeah, I did look at it. But I think that the Magnus bullhead, don't hold them to this, but I believe that they had free blade replacements. So I thought, if I break a blade off this thing, at least they're going to send me some more blades later. And I knew I was going to break some. And I'm pretty sure that I sent a few back and they replaced them. I think it's a lifetime, double check on that, but I think they have a lifetime blade replacement for their broadheads. So,
that's something right there. If you get replacements, if they're dull, you can sharpen them, but if they're bent or anything, you can't straighten them out and get them to work.
No, and those were so big. They were, if you hit just a little sapling or something, they're going to bend. I mean, there's no way to shoot them at that speed. They're going to break or bend or something. But they were tough. But I like the reassurance that I could send those back and get a brand new one if I wanted to. So
yeah,
I guess that's something. Why I lean that way, probably.
Yeah, because the guillotines are just really big. I don't know whether it's 3 or 4 inch.
Yeah, I think they're about that. I think they're about 3 to 3.5 inch cut. Best I remember. That's been a while back since I was doing that research on those. But
I know one of the advantages, like the mechanical for turkeys, you go in for the neck, and if you miss enough that the blade don't open up, you got to miss. If you're close enough for it to hit, that blade's going to open up and do some damage.
Yeah, and if you're going to shoot one in the body with a broadhead, you really don't want to shoot like a deer. You don't want a clean pass. Excuse me, clean pass through. You want to. That's why I have 2 bows. I've turned my other one down. I think it's about 42 pounds, I believe, or 45 pounds. And you really just want that broadhead to go in and stick and stay in the body. It's just doing more damage. So you've got a better chance of recovering your bird. But
yeah,
you're shooting 65 pounds, it's going to zip right through it. And they actually made them where they would, some broadheads for turkeys that would, have reverse barbs on them and kind of go in and just kind of stop, and they're not designed for a pass-through shot.
Like muzzy, I shoot muzzies for the deer, and their turkey heads, 2 of the blades are sharp and 2 were dull.
Yeah.
So you're only going to get 2 of them to cut. The other ones are designed to slow it down.
Yeah, to drag it and slow it down.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's something I always think about. What are you shooting? I normally shoot 70 pounds, and with you have a light arrow, because my hunting arrows are about 370 grains, and at 70 pounds, I get a pretty fast arrow, and
right.
I'm shooting a 2001 PSE Carrera, and back then it was rated at 320 feet per second. That's what it was rated at back in 2001. And you kind of get up 70 pounds, and with the light arrow, there's not much going to slow it down unless you hit a bone.
Yeah.
And you'd get a complete pass through with a turkey. So
yeah. I've seen they used to make strings that you would put on arrows and everything for turkey hunting back 15 years ago or 20 years ago, which was kind of interesting. But like I can't remember the name of it, but it was designed to try to hang in the turkey, and keep prevent a pass through shot.
Well, they've got some tracker strings that they use on some. A buddy of mine had one. He put on his and fastened the arrow, and the idea was shoot the deer and it runs off the arrow, even if it passes through. They're still going to keep dragging the string out so you can track it with the string.
Yeah.
It was more work than what I think it was worth.
Well, maybe I got it confused. Maybe that's what it was, and maybe I had a different idea for it or something. Maybe.
Well, and if you're using it on a turkey, they can bury themselves really good.
Oh yeah. I've some turkeys you'll shoot and they'll go a little way. Some of them will fall over right there. But I guess the most important thing for a turkey that I found trying to recover one is when you shoot one with a bow, you can take off running out after it and try to recover it as fast as you can. But I've kind of found that you just let it go. Just, keep an eye on the last place you saw the turkey. And I like to wait and give it a few minutes. And if they go out of sight, and I'll go and go to that last place, and then just, you can look down in the woods and just start scanning. And 9 times out of 10, you're going to find that turkey buried under a log or a tree top that's fallen down. I've walked right up on them before, and I mean, you could not see them, and they'd be tucked under a big a tree that's fell down or something. I'd actually had to reach under and pull them back out, where they went under and died. So they always try to find something to hide from you. And even if they're still alive, you can, that's what they do. That's their instinct, I guess. If they're wounded or, they will try to hide from, they probably can't fly, but they will run and get under something and hide from you.
Yeah, I've had deer the same thing. You're walking by and it's like, gotta be here, and then no, you're walking past, and then you go back. It's like, oh, here's this little thicket brush. They climbed inside of the thicket brush, and that's where they laid down.
Yeah. So
normally not, but I've had a few do that. It's like, we looked all over for it, and it's like, no, it couldn't go any further here. To go back and look, and sure enough, there it was. It took a right turn and went in the bushes.
Yeah, unlike deer, the turkeys, they don't usually leave much of a blood trail, so you really have to pay attention to where they go. The last place you've seen them, and once if it's going down into a creek bottom, sometimes you're just got to scan back and forth to find those. They can be tough sometimes. If they ever get their wind under their wings, you're probably in trouble. If they soar off a ridge, I mean, you can go look for them, but you just have to keep your eye on the last place you see them and just start combing from there. So.
They glide quite a ways if they get that wing, wings out and wind under them.
Yeah, absolutely. That's probably why it's not a good idea to jump out and run after them, because if if they just walk off or run off, they're more likely to go get under something and expire. But if you take off after them as soon as you shot them, they're going to take off running as hard as they can go and try to get wind under them. So they're probably going to soar off, and then your chances of finding them after that are probably cut in half at least. So.
Oh yeah. It's the same thing with a deer. You shoot them with a bow, and you don't want to even get out of your tree stand for half hour to an hour. If it was a good shot, you still want to wait half hour to an hour. If it was a bad shot, you might need to wait 3 or 4 hours. And I know one time I was hunting public property, and they were coming down to me too late in the evening. It was after hunting time by the time they get down to me. So I thought, okay, I'm going to move up north the other end, because there's still quite a bit more, so I can get up there before then, so I can catch them earlier. So I said, I want to be on my tree stand by 4 o'clock. This is wintertime, like December, and either late November, December. So I climb up my tree stand, and I wasn't in there 3 or 4 minutes, and here comes this deer trotting past me. So I draw up and I shoot, and end up hitting a little bit far back. And so I'm waiting, and come to find out, some kids are out walking around and chase it up early. So that's why it was trotting past me instead of just normal browsing, just walking slow. And they were predicting snow that night. So I got down, I found the blood trail, I waited for my buddy to show up. We got down, tracked the blood trail, went a little bit further, and all of a sudden this deer gets up and runs off. And I was like, okay, we're done. We're going to walk straight out so I know where to come in. And sure enough, it snowed. So now me and him and his son is out there, and it's okay. We're looking for a lump with snow on it. You're not going to see the deer because we had, a couple inches of snow.
Yeah.
So we found it. There was
Really?
a lump with snow on it. We found it, and the legs were froze. The rest of the body was still warm.
Wow.
And it got down to, really cold that night, freezing, below freezing, because you're not going to get snow if it's above freezing.
Right.
And, because that was a bad hit. That was, basically a gut shot, and they lay down, and they're just going to lay down. If we hadn't went in right away, it'd have been, maybe 30 yards from where it was at, but only run another like 30 yards because we bumped it, and it just run like down because we didn't keep following it. And we got it. And it's like, it goes to show you, you can make a bad shot. It's still going to die. It's just don't chase it.
Yeah. Yeah. If you jump them back up, you're cutting your chances of finding them in half at least.
Yeah.
No telling how far they'll run until they lay back down again. So.
Yeah. And if we'd have kept going and bumped it again, we'd have never found it then.
No.
It would have been who knows where.
Yeah.
And, you know, then you're in the area, and then they're starting to stink, and then you can, when it's warms up, and then yeah. Okay, that's where it went.
That's not the good way to find it.
No. And we've probably all done that too. You know, you get one at night and blood trail's gone and you can't find it, and you're going along. It's like, okay, did it go any further? And then it's like, okay, stop. You stopped 30 feet from where the deer was, but you couldn't see it at night. And then hunting the same area, then it's like, okay, well, Coyote's going to get this one.
Yeah. We found a few like that.
Yeah, you go. And I remember times where we stopped for 4 hours in the field trying to look for the deer that got up and run off. And it was the one we hit, and it wasn't hurt because there was like no blood anyway. And it is one of those that, you know, if you hit that one spot in the shoulder with that bow, you don't penetrate.
No.
You know, even a 70-pound bow at 10 yards, it's not going to penetrate it. Any place else goes just fine. And, you know, I found my arrow, and there's like, okay, the broadhead had a little bit of blood on it, and that was about it. Nothing else on the rest of it. So it just basically just kind of stuck and bounced off, and it laid down and got up and run off. Nothing wrong with it. Just run normal. But we still spent probably another 3.5 hours, you know, stopping through the milo field just to make sure that it wasn't in there. And it was there. Live for another day.
So do you turkey hunt quite a bit in the spring?
No, I don't do too much turkey. Right now I've got other things kind of keep me busy, but I'm gonna try and get out there a little bit more, try and do some turkey this year. My son's come down here and turkey hunted. I really need to, because there's, where I live, it's about a mile to the highway. And on the way out of the village that I live in, there's probably a group of 30 or 40 turkeys that gather in that field. I have permission to hunt across the highway. And this is, you know, maybe 100 yards from where I see them all the time. So I don't know where they go during the day, because I haven't really followed them, but in the mornings and evenings, they're in there. Sometimes you have to wait for the things to cross the street. There's just so many of them. You know, we got to get set up just on the other side and see what we can do about getting them called over in the morning.
Yeah. Well, I'll be out that way this spring. So if you need an extra hand, let me know.
We can arrange something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll plan on a turkey hunt here and see what's going on.
Sounds good to me. I'm game anytime. So
yeah, we'll have to. We have 2 seasons. We have the spring and the fall turkey. And during the spring, it's toms only.
Yep.
Well, not toms, but you gotta have a beard.
Bearded.
And then in the fall, then you can shoot either one. But the spring is toms only.
Yeah.
Or bearded turkeys.
Okay.
Because you could have a hen with a beard.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you could have a hen without a beard.
Yeah.
So it's the only way to, you can't, I don't think there's any way to really sex them without looking for the beard.
Yeah. Well,
not at a distance.
Yeah. You can, you know, most of the time the toms are darker, their feathers are actually prettier, I guess you would say, than a hen. You know, the hen is kind of made more to blend in with the woods, and, you know, for nesting purposes. You know, they're kind of a dull brown. You know, you can usually tell pretty quick with the darkness of the feathers. You know, that's probably the easiest way to pick them out pretty quick, and the size. But
edge a little bigger, or if they got the fan out.
Oh yeah, that's my favorite.
Yeah.
I love to see the fan.
Yeah, those are really good.
Yeah.
Well, just like, you know, a lot of us, like the cardinal, the male is that bright color, and the female is, you know, just all kind of a tan color.
Yeah. Most a lot of birds and animals and stuff. That's, like the peacock, they're all like that. It seems like, and I guess it's for the way they were created to nest and, to camouflage and hide when they're with their nest. So
yeah,
pretty neat.
Kind of hidden. Yeah, and it's kind of neat how they do that.
Yeah.
So tell me about you have the website Turkey Hunting USA. Tell us how that got started.
Okay. Well, it's, that's all I think about is turkey hunting. That's from 365 days a year. That's turkeys on my brain. And I started out with wanting to go get a grand slam, and that's the 4 subspecies in the U.S. And I started that in 2016. I always hunted here in Kentucky, and I would hunt Tennessee as well. That's a bordering state. I can be there in an hour. The tags were pretty liberal too there. So, but I kind of broke out of my shell in 2016, and I went to Florida to get an Osceola. Went to, I actually was in Nebraska in 16. That was the only state that year I didn't kill a bird, kill a turkey in. So it'd been nice to have known you back then. So I was just hunting public land. I was there late season, and it was tough. I mean, very windy. I remember the wind blowing all the time, and it wasn't something I was used to hunting there. I was waiting on that nice crystal clear morning where you can hear forever, and I never really got that kind of weather while I was there.
Not going to happen in Nebraska.
No, there was one morning it was kind of calm, but it was still a pretty good breeze. And but anyway, I started out, and I was able to get a grand slam. I hunted South Dakota that year for my Merriams. That's where I got it, in the Black Hills. And then hunted Kansas. I got my Rio there. And then, of course, my Eastern here in Kentucky and Tennessee. And I hunted Alabama that year too. And they also have, from there, that was my first grand slam. So I kind of got intrigued by traveling and turkey hunting. And I looked into the National Wild Turkey Federation. They'll record your grand slam. If you send them the information in of your harvest, they actually record them and keep up with it. They've got a list on their website. You can type in turkey records and go on there and see who all's had a grand slam. So I was kind of looking at the idea. I really liked that. And they have what's called the U.S. Super Slam. And it's pretty much where you harvest a turkey in every state in the U.S. The only state that does not have them is Alaska. And I thought, that'd be kind of neat. That's a huge goal, but I thought I might try it, start whittling away, maybe get a few new states every year or something. Well, once I got going, I mean, it was like an addiction. I was already planning for the next year, wanting to try to figure out what states I was going to hit. I was sleeping in my truck. I did most of it by myself, traveling part of it. And I was able to finally finish that this year. Well, I say finally, but I was blessed to finish this last year, 2021 or 22. I had Nevada. That was my last state, and I ended up getting it in early April. And I guess I was looking for another challenge after that. I'm always searching for challenges and stuff. I started dabbling a little bit with video and some turkey hunts, and started a YouTube channel. And I enjoyed it, and I wanted to start getting into more of it, podcasts and, selling some t-shirts and hats and merchandise, maybe getting into the calling part of it. And so it's just something that when season's over in spring, I've got something that I can keep on, keep me going through the rest of the year until turkey season comes back around. So, I've that's kind of where I've started with, just another aspect of turkey hunting, another way to extend my season. And I enjoy it. I, just like talking with you tonight, I get to meet all kinds of interesting people, hear their stories. It's just a camaraderie, just like bow hunting or deer hunting or duck hunting. Everybody can, you can talk about your hunts and experiences, and I just enjoy that part of it. So this was another way to kind of expand on what I've already been doing and, keep it going, I guess. So.
And that's turkeyhuntingusa.com, right?
Yes, it is. And also I'm on Facebook and all the social media, and on YouTube as well. It's all Turkey Hunting USA for all those avenues.
Keep them all consistent. Same
Yep.
name, no matter where you're at.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. If anybody wants to stop by and check out what we do, we've started a turkey hunting podcast. So, still in the early stages of that, but it's been a huge success. We've enjoyed it and got a lot of good feedback from it. So pretty much the same way you're doing with your archery, it's having guests on and stuff and just enjoying the experience of it. So.
Yeah, it's kind of nice. That's in a group I'm in, entrepreneurs doing different things. And one guy says, and one of the calls is, who's accept the challenge to do a podcast once a month? And I said, oh, I'll do one. And then he says, well, who'll do twice a month? And I said, well, I'll do two. And then it's like, what am I going to do a podcast on? I hadn't thought about it. It's like, well, what can I talk about for hours on end? I know it's like archery. It's like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
So then I started it a little over a year ago, and it's been a lot of fun. And I do some of the earlier ones is, what to do when you get, think about going to the archery store. What do you do before you even get one? You want to get one. What do you need to know? And what do you know once you get there? And then all kinds of different stuff. When I talked about ghillie suits, using them, and I had a couple on turkey and stuff like that. And now when I got a chance to have you on here that really knows turkey, that's
yeah,
that's really good too. Talk about that, and cold weather hunting, and what do you do in extreme cold weather, and safety, and all kinds of different stuff. There's a lot of them. When you've got this many podcasts now, and you always have different subjects, and I kind of leaned into more of the interviews now, because it's just so nice talking to all the different archers, and anywhere from new people just starting out to people who've been shooting for decades.
Yeah, anybody can learn something from anybody. I mean, there's always somebody out there that knows something that you don't, and it's fun to share experiences like that and pick up on, learn about other ways that people do their archery or turkey hunting or camping, or all the aspects of it. So yeah, that's kind of what we geared our podcast towards as well, is just to maybe benefit someone else that's going to another state to hunt. Kind of, we do a state spotlight every week, and that way we kind of pick out a state and highlight it, talk where I've been to all 49, and my co-host, he's hunted 20 states. So we can pick out the ones we've both been to, and kind of talk about our experiences there. And, I think people found that very beneficial to, if somebody wants to do something like that. So.
Yeah. Well, here in Nebraska, we've got lots of different areas. When you hunted Nebraska, what park did you go to?
I was up around Chadron.
Oh, Chadron. Okay.
Yep.
They got some good stuff up there.
Yeah, it was a beautiful place. I mean, I enjoyed the trip, but I think I was just a little bit too late. I was there the last week of turkey season, and I was actually walking around and found piles of feathers where other people had shot turkeys already. I'd walk into a place, I thought, man, this place looks really good. Be walking along and find a pile of feathers. I'm like, yeah, I guess it was. So
yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, but I definitely want to go back and hunt that area again someday. And I don't know, maybe I might come through there this spring. I don't know. So.
Yeah. Well, let me know. We'll get together here.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll have to see what I can do about get something set up, because I see all them turkeys. I'm like, okay, I got to get out there and shoot one.
Yeah.
or at least try to shoot one.
Yeah.
But I have to set one of my bows up to shoot turkeys, because I have my hunting bow I have 70 pounds, and then of course I have a couple extra bows. But
yeah, that's something I would like to do, is a archery grand slam. And I have my Eastern, and I want to, but the first trip I'm going on this year will be in Florida, and I'm going to take my bow with me down there and try to get an Osceola with the bow. So and then I want to go Texas in about mid-April, and on that trip I want to take my bow as well, and probably hunt New Mexico and Colorado, and then make a swing and come back around. So I'm gonna have my bow and my shotgun both with me on that trip. So if I have the opportunity, I'm going to try to bow hunt some too. So
yeah, I know here in Nebraska, our archery season opens up before the shotgun season. Ours opens up in March, for archery, and then I think it's April sometime. I'll have to look at the sheet to make sure, but March is archery, and then April is when the shotgun comes in, and then nice thing during the deer season is turkeys to open for archery as well.
Yeah.
So
Nebraska is Nebraska is kind of unique for that. There's not a lot of other states that open for an archery season early before the general firearm season, shotgun season. So it's kind of a sought after place, for archers to want to go to bow hunt for turkeys. It's kind of nice when everybody around you is bow hunting. You're not the only guy with a bow, and everybody else got shotguns,
Yeah.
So you feel like you're on a level playing field with everyone else. But I would like to come out and try that. I've never done it, the early archery season, but it's definitely on my to-do list, and I'd like to try that some year.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun, and I just gotta get out there and kind of see, what they're doing. I need to start tracking them down, because I know where they're at. Sometimes in the morning and evenings, one day I come in and I'm like, okay, here's road turkeys walking through the field. It's like there's probably about 20 of them or so walking through the field, and get out further down the field. There's another 10 or 15 of them just standing there in a bunch.
Wow.
Just all over the place. So
well, I'll have to get your address.
Well, I got to see if I can get permission on from the farmer where they're at, but I don't know, because there's a no trespassing sign up on the fence going in there. So
I'd say if they're hanging around the road like that, I'd say somebody else has already seen them and probably has permission, more than likely. So that's usually the way it is here.
Well, it's right there next to the highway, and right across the highway, it's right on a creek where we're at, and right across the highway where I can hunt across the highway. So I just have to call them across the highway.
Yeah, and they will come.
Yeah,
so I'm sure
they call them across.
I'm sure they travel back and forth anyway. But
oh yeah, they're all over the place around there.
Yeah. If you've got the water they always have to have water. So I don't know what the other side consists of, but if you've got water, they're gonna come to you eventually. If there's no other water source,
they're either corns or soybean on both sides of the highway.
Okay.
Because we're a little village out here that's in between Omaha and Lincoln, and so it's a lot of farmland.
Yeah.
Lots of farmland.
Yeah. Probably some big turkeys too. So.
Yeah, some of them are pretty good sized.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of land around here the University of Nebraska owns as well. So, they don't allow too much hunting on that.
Yeah.
They do have a controlled hunt once a year they'll have one for a couple days. But other than that, nobody's hunting them really around here.
Now, the place that I got my Nebraska bird was around Table Rock. Are you familiar with it?
Yeah, that's out in the middle of Nebraska.
Yep. That's where I actually was able to harvest my Nebraska bird, but that's been 2 or 3 years ago now. But yeah, there's plenty of birds there. Now they're considered more of a hybrid, I guess, in that area. But to me, it doesn't matter. I'm just turkey hunting. Once I got my Grand Slam, I could care less what they look like or what they called them. If they were gobbling and strutting, that was good enough for me. So
yeah,
I could care less what color their wings are, or,
Yeah, turkey's a turkey.
Yeah, I just enjoyed hunt of it. That's my favorite part. The cat and mouse, I guess. So
yeah, and they do taste good.
Oh, they're excellent. Best, yeah. My favorite wild game is turkey by far.
Yeah, they're really good.
I do like elk, but it's pretty tough to come by here. So
yeah, yeah. In Nebraska, the elk's a little tough to get by too. If you go clear out next to the Colorado border, I think there might be a few out there, but that's about it.
Yeah.
But the best meat I've had is moose.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I went up to Canada and got a moose, and man, that was like top of the line.
Yeah, that would be a great hunt. That would be a cool hunt to go on.
Yeah, it was. I didn't do archery. I'd like to have done archery, but it was, the guy I was going up with, it was during rifle season, and that's another whole story for another day.
Yeah.
But it was fun. A lot of good meat out of it.
Yeah.
Moose is really big.
Oh yeah. I was in Washington turkey hunting last year and walked up on several, and you don't really understand how big they are till you walk up on them. Actually, I found a shed this spring in Washington, which is pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
Or actually Idaho. I was right on the line, but it was in Idaho where I found it. So wasn't a great big one, but it was still pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, when you look at it, your foot's about the size of their ear.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, they're giants.
Yeah. They're big. You don't want to hit one of those because they normally fall on the hood of the car and crush your cab in. And
yeah. I was out there 2 years ago in Washington turkey hunting, of course, and walked up on a little knoll. There was a turkey gobbling at the very top of this hillside, I guess. And I kind of belly crawled up to him. It was right before roost, and I wanted to just find out exactly where he was at for the next morning. And when I was sneaking up through there, I snuck in right on a cow moose, and she was just standing there, and right below her, there was a calf. I mean, it couldn't have been more than 4 or 5 hours. It had to have been born that day, I know, because it really couldn't even stand up. And I thought, man, this is awesome. I was probably 30 yards from it watching it. And I put a post on Facebook, a picture of it. And instantly everybody was like, man, you don't know how lucky you were, that cow didn't come after you. And I mean, I didn't think anything about it. I didn't know they were aggressive. She saw me. She was just standing there watching me. But everybody, evidently, they're very protective when they have little ones and will charge you. And I didn't know that. That's the first time I'd ever seen one.
Well, you were just there. You weren't being aggressive to it or anything. So it probably seen you and just yeah, okay,
yeah,
you're aware that you're there. And if you'd have got much closer, it might have come after you. But
yeah, that's what everybody was saying. So
I know when I was up in Canada, the guys tell me that there's several times throughout the rutting season, the moose will actually get pissed off at a train coming by and take on a train.
Really?
They'll just charge the train head on, and of course they always lose that battle. But
wow.
They'll have 2 or 3 a year, just stand there on the tracks, and they're in their area. Don't want that train in there and take on a train.
Gosh, yeah. I guess they are the king, as big as they are. So yeah, they think they are anyway. So wow, that's pretty neat.
Not against the train though.
No.
A car, a truck, semi, yeah, they do a number on them, but
yeah,
still probably kill them. But yeah, it's that was interesting. I think if I do moose hunt again, it'd have to be archery, because I'd like to get one with a bow.
Yeah,
that'd be fun.
Yeah, it would be a fun trip.
Well, any parting thoughts for the listeners?
Well, anybody have any questions or anything, I guess?
No, nobody come up with any questions. So well, one question, say you haven't ever turkey hunted before, what do you need to get started?
Okay. If I was just getting into turkey hunting now, you can find a lot of information on YouTube. Go on there and watch some turkey hunts. They've got instructional videos for calling, the equipment you need. There's a wealth of knowledge on the internet for getting into anything. I mean, the first thing you think of is Google this, Google that. That's just natural to us now. But YouTube has unbelievable amounts of turkey hunting information, how to set up, how to call, when not to call. Just prepare the best you can through those channels, and then pretty much just get out there and go turkey hunting. I mean, the best way to learn about turkeys is actually to get out there and trial and error. I mean, it took me 3 years to get my first bird, and it wasn't because there was a lack of birds. There was more birds then than there is now. It was just because I was learning this, I was learning the lessons of what to do, what not to do, when to move. I would think they're gone, and I'd stand up and see them fly off. There's so much to it. I mean, but every time something like that would happen to me, I would put that in my memory bank. And, the next time I got into that situation, that would pop back up. And I'm like, all right, you remember last time you crested this hill, that you got busted, or, so you just prepare as much as you can by the information that's on the internet, and then just go hunt and just have fun. It doesn't matter if you kill one or not. I mean, that's not really the goal here. Is just to get out and have fun and enjoy it. And the hunt is where it's at. I mean, it's not how big the bird is. It's not any of that stuff. And sometimes people get hung up on that, and I do too. It's everybody wants to kill the biggest buck and all that, but if you kind of quit thinking about that aspect of it and just go hunt, have a good hunt, and enjoy it, that's what it's really about. So, and also the good thing about turkey hunting, you can share it with your friends. If you got a buddy that you like to bow hunt with, that deer hunt with, or whatever, you two get together. This is kind of a different sport. Most of the time deer hunting, you're always by yourself. And, even if you're on the same hunt, you don't talk until you get back to the camp that night, and exchange stories. But turkey hunting, you can walk together. You can kind of plan what you want to do next. One guy can call and the other guy move forward and get 50 yards in front, and you can help each other. It's more of a team sport, I guess you would say. And I enjoy that part. It's every aspect of it. There's so many ways to do it. There's not even right or wrong answers or techniques. It's just whatever you like to do and whatever's worked for you. I've traveling around everywhere to all these states. I've met a bunch of people, and I have learned some stuff that I never even thought of doing. And, by talking to different people in different areas, and some stuff that I thought, this is crazy, but it actually, roosting. I'll tell you what, there's a guy in Vermont that I met, and the first night I met him, he wanted to go out and roost some turkeys. I said, yeah, let's go. We went and watched a flock, and we already knew where we were going to hunt the next morning. We watched them fly up to roost, and he said, well, let's go down the road. He said, I want to go try another place, see if we can get one roosted there. Well, it was already dark, and I've never roosted a turkey after it actually was dark. We had the headlights on driving down the highway, and this was like 30 minutes later. And we pull up to a spot. He said, well, I want to try it. And I thought in my mind, I've never roosted a turkey 30 minutes after dark, And sure enough, he used a box call, and he called, and that turkey up on the ridge gobbled in the pitch dark darkness. And I mean, I never in a million years thought that was possible. Never even thought of doing anything like that. Once the sun went down, I was heading in, So just stuff like that, you can think outside the box sometimes and try different things.
Yeah, that's always interesting. I never thought about, using a call after dark to locate them. I've seen them, I've walked through and it's like, okay, I know I can see them roosted up there, but you want to make sure you're not shining lights up there because, then you're disturbing them in the roost, and that you don't want to do. But yeah, that's something might try start seeing where they're at and tracking them down and see if I can figure out a schedule where these birds are roosted next to me.
If somebody would have told me that, I would never believed them unless I would have been there to see it myself. And I still think about that, but so you just, there's so many different techniques and tricks and, stuff like that goes into turkey hunting. There's not just one set way that you have to do it. So in my opinion, it's as fun as anything you can hunt. You get the call to them, you get the interaction. It's you can hunt them all day. That's in most places or the states that'll let you hunt all day. Just because it's 11 o'clock in the morning, that doesn't mean the hunt's over. You can keep on going. And I've killed a lot of birds after, lunchtime and up in the afternoon. If you can strike a bird up in the afternoon, a lot of times you'll have a pretty good chance of, calling him in. So.
Yeah, there's always something to learn, and each area is a little bit different.
Yeah, it is.
Well, it's been great having you on the show today. I've enjoyed it. I've learned a little bit, and I hope our listeners have learned a lot. So anyway, my name is Roy Canterbury, and I've been your host today on Archery Talk 101 with Billy Barnett of the Turkey Hunting USA. About hunting turkeys, it's always a pleasure having people on that know a bit more about subjects and talk to them.
I appreciate you having me on. Thank you.